back, YouTube. Today we're going to get this 283 out of this Impala, and we're going to hopefully start bracing up the frame. So let's get after it. Okay, well, we got the 283 out of there. As you can tell, it's much later. Lights are actually working. Started unbolting the alternator and the manifolds. Well, actually, I got one manifold off of there already. If you're wondering why I did not unbolt the torque converter before pulling this out, I didn't want to crawl underneath of that because this frame is very floppy, and I just did not want to get underneath the car because of how bad the rust is. And I know you're probably concerned that I ruined that seal I didn't ruin it, but it's getting replaced anyways. That's why I pulled it out with the torque converter on it. I know that you can risk damaging that input seal on the transmissions by doing that, but it is what it is. I'm replacing it anyways, and the reason why I separated the engine and transmission is because I'm going to go ahead and just put a new front and rear main seal in it anyways, just because I'd hate to get it all back together and then it start puking oil everywhere. Going to put a 4-barrel intake on it and probably keep the Oxhorn manifolds for a few reasons. One being, it'll keep it sort of original to this car, and they are pretty neat looking. I'm not a huge fan of manifolds. I do like headers, but I feel as though this car is better off with manifolds. They're in good shape, and the main reason, the alternator bolts onto the manifold, so I would hate to change that and just make it that much more of a pain in the ass for myself. Yeah, so next is to get the transmission out, and I'm gonna carefully undo the cross member from either side, and hopefully it'll drop down, and that way I don't have to crawl underneath of it at all, other than to undo what's left of the body mounts. These ones have already checked out, so, and that one's pulled right through the frame. Same thing with this one over here, and I think that one's not far from doing it. Not sure about the back ones. They're probably not any better. Got to undo the steering column and brake lines, little things like that. But, well, obviously, and I got to brace the door jambs up. So, well, we'll get to work on that tomorrow. It's pushing 9 o'clock. I'm gonna go inside for the night, and we'll get back at her tomorrow. So stay tuned. Well, it is now another day, YouTube, and we are back at it, working on the 283. Today we're going to take all the front drive accessories off of it, get it taken down, ready to clean it up, so we can get the intake off. I'm not going to pull the intake until I have one, just so it limits the amount of debris that could get down in there. But I'm going to get the manifolds off so I can get them cleaned up, because I am reusing them. Going to get the alternator tested, because I have no idea if it works. Probably going to pull the water pump off, just because we're going to replace it, because just something that I do whenever I have a motor out. I just put a new water pump on for the hell of it, just because I don't want to deal with it later. Kind of like why we're going to put front and rear main seals in this thing too. So we're going to get working on unbolting what's left of the body and getting the transmission out of there, cross member, unbolting the steering column, and so on. A lot to do, and yeah, let's get after it. she's taken down really as far as I want to take it for now. She's pretty dirty. Lots of grease on there. I couldn't believe how much sludge was on that distributor. And really curious to know the exact number of miles on this engine. So, she was definitely run for quite a while. You don't get that amount of grease buildup just by sitting. One thing that really surprised me is there were absolutely no exhaust manifold gaskets, and I don't know if that's supposed to be like that. I can't imagine so. But I doubt anybody's even had them off before. Unless if one started leaking and they just took them both off and slapped them back on. I don't know, but to me it seems like there should be exhaust manifold gaskets on there. But there was not on both sides. So, I don't know. It's definitely going to get them when it goes back together. And, yeah, I'm definitely going to use the manifolds. Just because it's all the front drive lines up with them. And, well, the alternator bolts onto them. So, be kind of foolish to throw headers on it and have to get all new bracketry and everything. So, that's basically ready for pressure washing. Only one problem. Pressure washer broke. So, oh well. I'd rather pressure wash it the day I'm going to take the intake off anyhow. Just in case if I get water down in there, it's not going to be in there for very long. And, yeah. So, the intake's not coming off until it's pressure washed and painted. Because chances are the 4-barrel intake I'll get, which I'll have to drill this out, I know. They have that little indent on them still that you just have to drill out for these oil-filled tubes. Chances are that's going to be aluminum. And I'm going to want to keep it that aluminum color. And yeah, so that's basically just masking off the area that I don't want painted. So, gonna try and go through as much as I can on this motor before it goes back in that other frame. And that's kind of how it's gonna be put back together. Is engine, transmission put back together and then set on that frame. Of course, after we fix the bad spots in it. And try and run all the brake lines as much as we can. Body mounts, fix the A-arms, or just get new ones. Because these rubber grommets, the bushings, are pretty bad, and these and the ones on the other frame. So, QA1, if you're watching, yeah, I put some QA1 parts on this. Full QA1 front suspension. Email me. Yeah, right. But anyways, gonna have to do something because those rubber bushings are not in the greatest shape. And we'll have to look at the ball joints and whatnot to make sure that they're not all sloppy either. Oh, what else? For those of you that read the post I made last night about that Olds 350 engine, that's also Bill's, the guy I got this car from. But it's now mine. I bought it off of him. And next Saturday, we're going to go get that. Again, I have no idea if it's stuck or even worth saving. But, I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to try, at least to save it. Not exactly sure what it came out of. But we will find that out. I'm not exactly sure how to decode an Oldsmobile. If you guys know, let me know. And also, a problem that I have with that Oldsmobile engine is I don't have a starter for it. Now, I've been looking it up a little bit online, and it looks as though a 350 Chevy starter will work on it. They're the same thing. But then again, I don't know. I'm not an Olds guy. So, I mean, I had a Olds Cutlass that the motor that's in the Camaro was in, but that was years ago, and I'm really a Chevy guy. But we're going to try and get that Olds to run. It's got a transmission hook to it. I believe it's probably just a 350 turbo Oldsmobile transmission. And who knows if that's any good. Bill said it was when he said it there, but again, that was 30 years ago. So, we shall see. Anyways, well, I'm going to seal off the holes I exposed on this and tuck her away for long-term storage for now. And then I think we'll pull the transmission out and get that put in the good old storage van. So, left a nice little spot for it in there. Also got to pull the seat out yet before I do any welding for bracing up the doors. So, lots to do. Stay tuned. Alrighty. Well, we got her all ready for pressure washing. Aside from a few taping here and there. I don't know, this is just the way I like to do things. I like to take all the manifolds and everything off and just stuff them full of plastic bags. And it's just easier to get at to clean stuff, and on the downtime when I don't have anything else to do, I can take time and clean up those manifolds individually, and some of the other parts, like degrease all the like the power steering pump and stuff like that. Get a new water pump on order. I'm not going to get rid of that one. It's still good. It just, I don't know, it's old, so I'm going to replace it. Just because I don't want to get it all back running and together and have it start overheating. So, anyway, just for shits and giggles, let's take this valve cover off, and we'll see any kind of sludge buildup that has happened in this. I'm very curious. The distributor had quite a bit built up on it, and I don't know why. Maybe it didn't get oil changes that frequently, or they ran Quaker State. Who knows? I know Quaker State will do that, the older stuff. So, I'm very surprised on just about everything on this engine. It was very loose. And most of it, I'm going to have to guess, is from the factory. Want none of that getting down in there. I know I should have sprayed it off with the air hose first, but it's getting torn down anyways. That's why I always leave the old oil in until I'm ready to put the engine back to use, because anything that falls down in is going to get caught up in that oil. Not everything, of course. Just got to be careful. It's going to be quite the ordeal going to get that Olds engine. Probably going to have to use the 230 quad runner four-wheeler with the yard cart, and Bill's got a cherry picker there, so we will use that. And 'cause it's so soupy back where it is that I can't get my truck back down to it. We're just going to have to use the yard cart and the four-wheeler, kind of like what we did with the 454. If any of you guys saw that. If it can hold up to a 454, it can hold up to that. So, the way I figure it. Of course, the transmission is on this one, so forgot to mention too, I always use a dead blow hammer when you're working around the soft metal and whatnot. Most of you already know that, of course, but I mean, I used it on the water pump pulley, so just because I didn't want to mar up that aluminum. And she's not exactly clean, but I've seen worse. Seen a lot worse. Yeah, she's got some buildup on her. Might want to look into doing some head gaskets while we're at it. Wow. Pretty good sludge buildup on them head bolts. Unbelievable. I'm guessing it just didn't get oil changes that frequently. Either that or they used a real waxy oil all of its life. So, and don't worry, I'm putting new valve cover gaskets back on it upon final assembly. I was just curious to see what it looked like in there, and now I know. So. Alright, well, I'm going to put these bolts back in, and then we're going to work on getting the transmission out of there. I'm not sure if we're going to get to bracing the body yet or not, but maybe we'll crawl underneath each side. Again, I don't really want to go underneath the entire car right now, even though the engine's out of it. That took away a lot of the weight, but still, as I was lifting up on this engine in that car, I could watch the frame flex right at the beginning of the firewall there where the front body mounts are. I could watch it flex. So, she is not too sturdy. Alright, moving on. Wow, looks to be some 5/8 or 9/16. I think they're 5/8. We will get them out of there and unbolt the linkage and the drive shaft. We'll get her out of there. If you're wondering why I didn't bother to try and reuse the exhaust, it does have like holes on the bottom of it here and there, and it's pretty thin. I'm just gonna put new in. So, yeah. Alrighty, and the cross member is not too good for the transmission either. It can be fixed, but still not the greatest. Alrighty, let's get after it. Alrighty, got the 2-speed power glide out of her. So now I can start unbolting the body, get the steering column unbolted, and hopefully get this thing. Well, I gotta brace it yet still, and like I said, probably not gonna happen this video. Well, it's not, because I'm probably going to wrap it up for this week's episode. I've had a lot to do this weekend, but next weekend should be pretty entertaining. Again, going to get that Olds 350, and it's going to be quite the task to go get it. And hopefully it's not stuck and we can get it to turn over and fire up. So, I would like to make a engine run stand for this, well, for any small block Chevy. Just to, test for temperature and oil pressure and stuff like that before it goes into the car. So, maybe we'll do that. And probably make one for the Olds engine if it's going to prove itself to run. So, lots more scheduled for Will It Runs. Looking at a 76 Impala right now. Don't know if that's set in stone yet as far as going to get it. There's also a old dually, like, 76 Ford truck with a 390 in it that we may be going to get also. But again, nothing set in stone there. We'll just have to see what happens. But we still got to go get that 77 Ford F100 with the flatbed. And there's a few more on the list that I've found in my travels that we're going to do some will it runs on. Just time will tell, and weather. Weather is the biggest thing. That's why we still haven't gone to get that 77 Ford F100 yet, is because it's still like really muddy. So, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Franklin Stein's Garage. I hope... There's Susan. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and much more to come. Next week, we're probably going to take a break on the Impala and focus on that Olds engine. So, that should be entertaining. Who knows, maybe we'll start to do some work on this. Could do a little bit of both, you know, while we're waiting on the cylinders to soak. If it's stuck, we'll work on this. We'll find something to do. We'll stay busy. Till next time, like, comment, subscribe. Franklin Stein's Garage.